What if everything you could need to go to the end and kill the dragon is right there waiting for you in one perfect chunk? Something which has...
One chunk already sounds pretty tough, but I was convinced I could do even better. So here's how I beat Minecraft on a single block. At first, I had to try to find a better seed. In total, there are 18 quintillion different seeds, from which 2.7 billion have an end portal with 11 eyes already filled in. We can't filter for 12 eye seeds because in this old version the portal doesn't automatically light up. After downloading all 11 eye seeds from the Minecraft at Home website, I made a little script to check for a blaze spawner within 2 chunks of the end portal, which reduced the amount of seeds to 23 million. At this point I didn't have any information about the spawn point, and you might ask why I didn't filter for a spawn point above the end portal first. That's because it's pretty expensive to calculate that. For example, if you could check a seed within a millisecond, it would still take over a month for your computer to calculate all spawn points, and in addition to that, due to how complex the game is, you might not get an accurate spawn point with the algorithm which is usually used for this. Eventually, I had to come up with some new algorithms. One of them was super slow but gave me an accurate result, and the other one was super quick but could only tell whether a seed could theoretically have a good spawn point, which drastically helped to reduce the amount of seeds which I had to filter with the slower algorithm. With the new algorithms, I reduced the amount of seeds to 73, because having a spawn point directly above the end portal is incredibly rare. Eventually, I checked these seeds manually and 4 of them had everything I needed. With the new seed, the goal was clear: beating the game on a single block. To make it a bit more challenging, I decided that every form of horizontal movement, even within the block, is not allowed. You walk, get pushed, or get hit by a mob? Well, that's not allowed. Obviously, this also applies to the nether and the end dimension. Within a dimension, your x and your z coordinate have to stay the same. At first, this seems impossible, but I will show you now how the run turned out. The start felt pretty normal. You spawn next to a tree, craft some basic tools, mine some iron, and now it's already time to dig down straight to the end portal. The next big step is to go to the nether. Usually, you have enough lava in the portal room to make a nether portal, but sadly we can't reach this lava, and that's why I had to dig deeper to get the remaining lava. On the way down, I also collected the only water source within reachable distance in the entire challenge. Entering the nether was not difficult, but the first major problem was about to come. The thing is, we have a blaze spawner close by, but my portal generated on a lower Y level. At first, this seemed like an impossible task to kill a blaze at the spawner, which is 20 blocks above me, and buried a netherrack because I couldn't even move up or down without destroying the portal. And on this seed I didn't even have any diamonds to craft a diamond pickaxe, so I had to destroy my nether portal. It took me a while, but eventually I found a pretty smart way how I could solve this problem. First, I placed some blocks around the portal. Then I dug up next to a spawner and made a little room and just waited. Before I entered the nether, I set up a little contraption in the overworld which uses water to push an item into the nether portal. If the item on the pressure plate despawns, the pressure plate updates the water and the second item gets pushed into the portal. With this, I had a little timer which generated a portal in the nether, and I made sure that the nether portal could only generate at the exact same position I was standing on. Here you can see this whole thing from different perspectives. Now, I had a working nether portal right next to the spawner, and after some intense blaze fights, I finally managed to obtain a blaze rod and return to the overworld safely. Now it was time to collect some materials for the end fight and obviously an ender pearl to enter the end. Moving up and down seemed way more difficult than I expected it to be because even ladders didn't work. Instead I used trapdoors, which were pretty expensive and annoying to use, but it was still worth it for a little mob farm. I dug out some spawning platforms below the ground and built a high tower to despawn and spawn mobs whenever I wanted. At this point my plan was to collect a lot of string and arrows to prepare for the end fight, which might be the biggest obstacle in the entire run.
I used a little iron I had found to make some armor, got some blocks and headed down to the stronghold. I lit the portal and I entered. Now, of course this part can't be done in one chunk.
Okay, that's what I thought as well, but I also thought it would be much cooler to also beat the dragon without leaving the coordinates where you spawned in the end. This time it actually seemed like an impossible task, but I also thought, finally, a worthy opponent. It really took a while, but eventually I came up with some strategies how this could be theoretically possible. So first of all, I think the end crystals are the biggest problem. They heal the dragon, and it seemed like I had to somehow destroy all crystals for the end fight to be possible. I realized that you can shoot way further with a bow than I previously thought, but still not far enough in case a high crystal generated at the other end of the island. But what if there wasn't a tower with a crystal on top far away? The thing is, in 1.8 the end island's terrain is always the same on a specific seed, but the tower with crystals are always generated differently when you enter the end. With a backup of the world, I could re-enter the end dimension over and over again until I got a pattern of towers which were close enough to destroy with a bow and arrow. All that was left to do was to destroy all the crystals and kill the dragon. The thing is, gathering arrows was incredibly tedious, and that's why I tried to somehow kill the dragon without arrows. Instead, I came up with a solution which only required a sword and a door. In 1.8, the dragon can randomly charge you. You won't have any chance to damage the dragon without getting hit. And that's why you have to dodge the dragon's charge by standing on a door, and right before the dragon is about to hit you, you destroy the block below the door, which lets you drop down 3 blocks. The timing is quite precise, and it took me a lot of backups to eventually get the dragon down to pretty much no HP. In newer versions, the end fountain is fixed at the coordinate 0, 0, but in 1.8 the end fountain generates at the exact coordinates at which you kill the dragon, but with a fixed Y level of 64. After rewatching the run, I realized that I stacked up a bit too high, and that's why I technically got pushed by the end fountain and it changed my coordinates, but no one saw that. I hope you enjoyed the video. See ya.